Well, Douglas Ross is the leader of the Scottish Conservatives. I spoke to him a little earlier this morning and asked him when he last spoke to Lord Keane.
I've spoken to Lord Keane in the last week about this bill, but I hadn't spoken to him when he had tendered his resignation yesterday, because obviously he had made a decision by then. So I haven't spoken to him since he has resigned, but I did speak to him during the course of the bill going to Parliament.
And what was he telling you about his concerns?
He wasn't speaking to me about concerns at that time. He was speaking about the implications for the bill. Again, we were discussing how we can ensure it protects 545,000 jobs in Scotland, and it's important that businesses across Scotland can continue to seamlessly trade across the whole of the United Kingdom.
So you didn't ask him whether he was concerned that it was going to break international law?
We discussed all aspects of the bill, and clearly, as you will have seen in the House of Lords, Lord Keane just yesterday was confirming elements of the bill that he thought were important to get through and to take through. Obviously, since then, the government have indicated they are changing elements of the bill. They are putting forward an amendment next week. I think it's important that amendment reiterates that the government can only use these powers as a safety net if it persuades the House of Commons that the European Union has breached its treaty obligations. And I think it's right then that Parliament would have a vote on that element of it. But this bill, at its heart, as I've said before, is about jobs and businesses, and that's why I think it's so important that we protect the internal market of the United Kingdom to allow businesses across Scotland to continue to trade seamlessly with those across the whole of the United Kingdom.
It says a lot about trust in government, though, when two, not one senior advisor, but two senior advisors, legal advisors, feel that they can't support this bill.
But I think, Laura, you would have to accept that the bill has moved on since both of those have raised concerns. Now, the government have accepted they will lay two amendments at committee stage, and this is what I said on Monday night when I agreed at second reading. This gives Parliament and MPs the opportunity to debate, scrutinise and amend the bill. The government have come out and said they are amending. So Parliament gets to break international law rather than the government. That's effectively what that means. No, this means that the government must persuade all members of the House of Commons, if they want them to support this as a last measure, as a safety net to protect the peace that has long been delivered in Northern Ireland and the Good Friday Agreement, they would have to convince the House of Commons that there has been a breach by the European Union of the treaty obligations. Who do you think the government will find to replace Lord Keane as the Advocate General for Scotland? I don't know. There will be a number of people put forward for that position. It will be an important position to ensure that we get good people in to give legal advice to the government and to take on that important role. But I do want to thank Lord Keane for his service, not just to this government, but previous governments, and what he's done for Scotland during his time in office over the last 5 years. The Scottish Legal News said to support this bill is to endorse reckless and lawless behaviour that will tarnish Britain's reputation and ultimately that of those associated. So I'm going to ask you again, who do you think the government will be able to find to replace Lord Keane as Advocate General? Well, I am confident there will be a range of very good candidates. And
like who?
Well, I'm not going to name names on the radio, but I am confident, as I've said, Laura, that the government will find...
Well, there can't be that many people who are qualified to replace him.
Well, I believe there are a number of people qualified to replace Lord Keane. As I say, he's done an excellent job in government. It's an important role, and I think there will be a number of good candidates for the government to look at to replace as Advocate General for Scotland. Well, let's look at it from a different point of view. What are the implications if no one volunteers or can be found to replace him? I don't believe that's a situation we will get ourselves in. There will be another Advocate General for Scotland.
You don't believe that that is a scenario that you could foresee?
No.
When you were elected leader of the Scottish Conservatives during the summer, you said, and I quote, that people across Scotland want a leader of the Scottish Conservatives who will work with the UK government in the best interests of Scotland, but also stand up to them if there are issues that we can do better. Could the UK government be doing better on this? Should you be standing up to the Prime Minister on this bill?
Well, the UK government, as I've said, are already amending this legislation. The key area that people are concerned about, they are bringing forward amendments next week in committee stage to ensure there is a vote in Parliament. But ultimately, this bill, as I said in the House of Commons, at its heart is about jobs, businesses and the economy. And we need to protect the internal market of the United Kingdom to protect those jobs and businesses for those who need to trade across the UK. That's why this is fundamentally important.
But the point about the bill is that it would break international law. It would allow the government government or parliament to vote to break international law, and that has already damaged Britain's standing in the world. We have the Democratic candidate for the US presidential election, Joe Biden, last night saying that if this goes ahead, there would be no US-UK trade deal.
Laura, though, that is not the point of the bill. The point of the bill is to protect the internal market of the United Kingdom, the internal market that is crucial to 545,000 jobs in Scotland, the internal market that is crucial to businesses across Scotland, the internal market that is crucial to jobs across Scotland, the internal market that will see investment in Scotland. This is what is crucial in the bill, but the bill also contains clauses to ensure there is a safety net for the government and for the Northern Ireland peace deal to ensure that we do not breach the Good Friday Agreement, and that's why there are elements in the bill that are acting as a safety net should ultimately we not be able to resolve issues with the European Union. And now with the amendment that the government are taking forward, the bill in itself would only allow another vote should these powers ever be required, and the government would have to stand up and persuade MPs to support them because the EU had breached its treaty obligations.
A safety net which is already damaging Britain's international standing and has already caused two senior government advisers, legal advisers, to stand down. Is the Prime Minister losing control on this? The talks are going badly. There's already been a backbench rebellion about this bill. We're looking at problems perhaps with a future US-UK trade deal in relation to this bill. Is he losing control?
No, he's not, and he's concentrated again on ensuring this bill does deliver as it says to protect jobs, businesses and economies across the whole of the United Kingdom, and particularly in Scotland, where we rely with over £50 billion of trade in Scotland goes to the rest of the UK, 3 times more than the trade we do with the rest of the European Union. That is why it's crucial we can protect and enshrine the UK's internal market in law to allow these businesses to continue to do that billions of pounds of trade seamlessly across all 4 parts of the United Kingdom.
Douglas Ross there, the leader of the Scottish Conservatives.